go-tos with the mōmi is how it does that. So the baby then can, take more of it in, because then it does mold more to the mouth and they can elongate it to the back of the throat. Most of our moms are actually wanting to introduce their breastfed baby to a bottle while protecting their breastfeeding dynamic. They want the best bottle. The traditional bottle looks at how a baby feeds, because some babies, they need to bottle feed. And so how do we feed these babies that need to feed? And so they look at how do we get food to the baby from the baby's perspective. And then the mōmi looks at it from the other side. It looks from the mom's perspective, like how does the mom's body deliver that nutrition and that milk to the baby? And then the baby has to meet mom where her body's at. And so it looks at it from that opposite direction rather than feed the baby. It's how does the mom's body allow the baby to eat?
And truly the bottle that works like mom.
Exactly. So it's designing a bottle from that opposite perspective.
Yeah, it is, and that's the goal, right? To kind of flip this whole thing on its head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One thing we've heard from some professionals we've talked to is that the mōmi nipple actually requires the baby to use natural breastfeeding oral mechanics to get them extract the milk. I think you were saying it's from mom's perspective, it actually requires the baby to eat from the bottle in the way the baby has learned from the mom.
Yep. And I would actually say, like, again, since most of our moms are getting the mōmi not necessarily to help fix breastfeeding, but to continue breastfeeding and protect it, they want to hear that word of like, oh, it requires my baby to do what they need to do, because of course, one of the words in lactation that I absolutely loathe is when they say, oh, my baby's just lazy. It's like, no, they can't be, but they're gonna take the easy way out, because so would you and so would I. If presented with an easier way, we're gonna do it. That's a smart thing, not a lazy thing.
I say they're showing their humanness, like they're gonna find the path of least resistance.
And that's smart. We always do that. That's a survival thing. And so I would say, like, especially like our group of moms that are wanting to protect that, like, oh no, my baby has to do the work. They're required with this bottle. Our bodies are definitely designed to feed a certain way. And I say to my clients, like, the body is amazing at compensation though. So if you present them a different way, the body's going to compensate. But is that compensation then going to throw things off of alignment? I'll use the personal example of when I broke my ankle and was in a boot for 8 weeks. I was shifting my weight in that boot, and I learned how to walk like that for 8 weeks with no limp, no anything, because I was compensating. Once that boot came off, however, my foot was rolling and it was completely out of alignment. So our bodies are great at compensating. And so if you present a bottle that gets a baby to feed a different way, are they going to compensate and feed that way? Yes, absolutely great. That protects their health and nutrition aspect, but is that putting them in the optimal growth and alignment of how their body's naturally supposed to grow? Or are they in that compensatory growth now pathway? So
which can have long-term implications.
Absolutely. I had to go to physical therapy. It wasn't fun.
So do babies after they've been sucking on a bottle the whole time.